Hi guys, it is Wendy-Anne, and today I am going to talk about how to make the impossible possible. So if you've watched Alice in Wonderland with Johnny Depp and Maya, you should have listened to Crow saying, there are 6 impossible things that I think before breakfast. So when I watch this movie, it gets me into the attitude of really making the impossible possible. And there's also, from my past, the Suzuko saying, anything's possible. So yes, so the question is, can anything be possible? I think yes, if you start believing in yourself. I tend to find that people who really believe in themselves and who have a positive attitude, they tend to accomplish impossible things. And I tend to find that when they have unconventional ways of making their dreams come true, those are the people who are most likely going to make the impossible possible. We tend to find that the impossible is so far-fetched that we can't even reach the impossible thing. So my first biggest advice is be unconventional. If you are unconventional, you're not going to follow the typical route, and I tend to find those people who follow the typical route, I mean, it's possible to get the impossible thing through a conventional way, but when you do things in an unconventional way, it may lead to something different than the person taking the conventional route, and maybe something even better because it's more creative and unexpected. That's why I do believe in being unconventional. And also, people who have positivity, if you have a negative attitude saying, realistically, impossible things are just not possible, you just can't do them, I think, first of all, you have to have a positive attitude. You have to have a positive mindset. Because, first of all, if you visualize that it is going to happen one day, you're already on your way there. Like, that's the first step, visualizing. Because if you have a realistic manner of seeing things and saying, it's not going to happen, it's too impossible, way too far-fetched, your creative mind is just going to diminish, and you're not going to be excited to try to get to that impossible thing. So my biggest advice, 1, be unconventional. 2, have a positive mindset. So I did tell you in my previous video that I tend to do things in an unconventional manner. I don't follow what people do. I don't duplicate or emulate the journey of anyone else, because I want to do things that are unexpected, things that will surprise people. Because if you have an ordinary conventional life, it's not that exciting. I'm not saying that without the conventional route you're going to have an ordinary life. I'm saying that both routes are possible, but the unconventional is much more of an interesting story, and our lives are stories, so you have to make a really interesting story of yourself. So to have an interesting story, you have to have a life of adventures, of unexpected things, of the impossible. So I'm very selective in what I do, because I want to make my story as creative and as beautiful as possible. So I gave you the example, as in the facts of myself, that at 15 I swam with a dolphin. I tend to find that really unexpected. It's unconventional, and it's a miracle when I swam with that dolphin, and it was so unconventional. And I love miracles. I love when huge jackpots come. So my impossible thing is the jackpot. I call it the jackpot, which is a huge IMDb acting A-level project. That is my impossible task. It has been my #1 priority to get a huge movie in this lifetime. So I'm praying in this lifetime, which will happen probably in years, but I'm praying that it will happen. And I'm not giving up. So third of all, don't give up. Because if you give up, it's not going to work. You have to persist, have a positive attitude, and to be unconventional. And also be patient. You have to realize you have your whole life ahead, so it's most likely going to happen. So just keep having that attitude that it will happen one day. So the 2 P's, patient, persistence, actually 3 P's, patient, persistence, positive attitude, and being unconventional. I think that's how you can aim for the impossible. And I think people tend to find, people go just follow the ideas of, you know, conventional routes. And my other advice, don't always listen to the conventional route. Have a balance. Do the conventional, but do the unconventional. I talked about going through the front door, but also going around it, because you may never know. Maybe going around it will lead to that destination, and maybe going through it will go through that destination. I know that a lot of people who try to do the impossible try to do the conventional front doorway. Some achieved. Some actually did well, some didn't achieve. Some achieved by going around the door, some didn't achieve by going around the door. So I'm saying do everything so you don't miss an opportunity to get to that impossible thing. Okay. I know that impossible can represent the percentage of 1%, or some people say 0.999% make it or get to that impossible thing. Who knows? You may be part of that 1%, because maybe you could do what the 99% is not doing, and then you could get to that impossible thing. So really do everything, and put everything. If you put more time to that impossible thing than other tasks, such as applying for jobs or working out or so on, if you're putting everything, all your energy towards your dream and the impossible thing, you may achieve it one day because you put all those efforts. I'm going to give you an example of Peter Dinklage, who plays Tyrion in Game of Thrones. You should know him. I was incredibly in love with his speech when he said that he worked 6 years doing a job that didn't bring him happiness, 6 years in a place stuck with heat, because financially he had to support himself, pay rent, so on and so forth. But then at 29 he decided to be a full-time actor. Right, this is wasting my time. I've always wanted to be an actor. I'm going to do this now. So give all your energy to what it is you want, the impossible thing that you want. Because if you have a backup plan, you're not going to devote all your time to that impossible thing, and by putting more time into that impossible thing, you may achieve it. So, okay, positivity, persistence, patience, being unconventional, put in the time, and you'll get to the impossible things. There you go. A lot of people wonder how you get to if you have achieved that impossible thing. People will question, okay, how on earth did you do that? How on earth did you get to that impossible thing? Those 5 tips will help you. And maybe you're going to say, yeah, Wendy, but even with those 5 tips, I can't seem to get to that impossible thing. That's number 6. The 6th advice that I would recommend. Send messages to people who got the impossible thing and try to communicate with them, and they may tell you a way that they achieved their dreams. So, for all you actors out there, one of my advices, if you've heard about Carey Mulligan, she didn't take the conventional route. She didn't say, she tried to go to drama school, which was the conventional way of becoming an actor, but she chose another route. She messaged a film director, a really famous one called Julian Fellows, and he said, go marry a lawyer. and she was devastated. But with persistence, she wrote a letter to him, and then the wife of Julian Fellowes replied and invited her for a casting dinner among with good actors. And then she was invited for an audition for Pride and Prejudice, which led her in the unconventional way of having the jackpot as an actor. And another, for all you actors out there too, another actress that I know, I'm obsessed with the Spanish princess at the moment, Charlotte Hope, who plays Catherine of Aragon. She studied at the University of Oxford, and she did a showcase for her agents, and somehow she emailed all the agents, and one prestigious agent came to her showcase, booked her, and she was ready to work. So those two actresses are the best examples, especially actresses in the UK, who went around the door and somehow made it. But it doesn't mean, because I know a lot of people who did that, went around the door, and some didn't make it, some did make it. Some who went to drama school made it, some didn't make it. It's about also luck. So to get to that impossible thing, you may have to get lucky. And to be lucky, you have to persist and be patient and be there at the right time, on the right spot. So also a lot of luck. But with those 6-7 tips I told you, I think you have a better chance of getting to that impossible thing. And I'm sure it is possible. You just have to believe it will happen and visualize it. And the more you visualize it, the more you see it, the more you focus on going towards that picture of making it, it will happen. One of my biggest aims, I got a Google panel for Wendy-Anne. I was so happy of getting my Google panel, and it is because of the movies I made. I got my Google panel, and I was waiting to get it, and it's already the first step of being a good actor online. So I hope in the future to go towards Wikipedia, Allocine, so on and so forth. So I'm visualizing it, and I'm positive about it. And I know it will happen because I'm going to give all my energy into it, because this is what I want, and you have to know what you want to get to that impossible thing. Thank you very much for watching. I talked a lot about acting and actors, about making it for the impossible thing, but this also applies to any impossible thing, so I hope those 6-7 tips helped you. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.